Hey, what's up, everybody? So, if you've listened to the show, you know that I use AI. If you don't use AI, cool. If you don't like AI, cool. I'm learning something, and maybe I'm teaching someone something. Topics that interest me. Cool stuff. Stuff that I like. Is if you don't like it, then keep your opinion to yourself. If you only tap in to say something negative, well, that's a problem with yourself. You have so much negativity and so much sadness internally that you have to put others down as well. We see it in the world. You go on social media, people are negative. Social media is a sickness. People used to talk to each other back in the day. Now they don't. When you get into an elevator with a stranger, people pull out their phones instead of being cordial. Which, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of fucking weirdos out there. But there's also a lot of nice people. People now have social anxiety due to social media. But anyway, I'm not running ads. I'm probably going to do it till the day I die. If you don't like it, carry on. If you do like it, go ahead and hit that subscribe. I'd appreciate it. If there's a topic you want to talk about, let me know. Because I'm learning something every episode I do. And that right there makes it worth it to me. I was born nameless. My mother gave me a name in whispers, but it was never spoken aloud outside of our home. To them, I was not a boy. I was not a person. I was a function, a tool, meat that could move. My earliest memory is of my father. His back whipped open, his face bloodied, for looking a Spartan in the eye. I was 5. That's when I learned we weren't allowed to look up. They made us drink wine mixed with brine, then mocked us when we stumbled. They made us sing when they killed our cousins in the cryptia, forced us to smile at our own funerals. I watched boys, not yet grown, rip out the throat of a neighbor for practice. They laughed. I held my brother's hand and prayed to any god that would listen. None did. There is no god in Sparta. Only the state. Only the sword. Welcome back to the Time Machine Diaries, the show that puts history's bullshit through a meat grinder. This is part 2. And if you're still romanticizing the Spartans after part 1, either you weren't paying attention, or you're one of them dudes. Today, we're getting into the ugly foundation of Sparta. The people the Spartans treated worse than livestock. The Helots. The real reason Sparta didn't collapse. Strap in. It's gonna get fucking nasty. Sparta wasn't the land of milk and honey. It was a fascist ethno-state sitting on the necks of an enslaved population called the Helots. You like to quote, "Come and take it" with your little truck nuts and AR-15s? The Spartans didn't even farm their own food. Helots did that. You think they were out hunting wild boar and sipping protein shakes? Fuck no. They were too busy terrorizing the actual producers of their economy. The Helots were mostly Messenian Greeks who got conquered, enslaved, and turned into the permanently subjugated caste. Imagine if your next door neighbors took over your entire county, declared you a non-human agricultural appliance, and then made you raise their kids. That's Sparta. Not a nation of warriors. Just a pyramid scheme with spears. They were legally tied to the land. Couldn't own property. Couldn't vote. Couldn't marry freely. Couldn't defend themselves. And if you think they could just escape, you ever tried running across a mountain range barefoot and starving? And on top of that, you have teenage death squads hunting you for sport. It doesn't end in a feel-good Disney scene. Let me just tell you that. Your average Helot woke up before sunrise. They worked the land they didn't own. Fed mouths that would never thank them. And got whipped if they looked too strong or too happy. They weren't allowed to be proud, to sing freely, or even to age gracefully. Spartans were so paranoid about a revolt, they killed Helots for exercising. That's not hyperbole. That's policy. Look it up. I have a massive list of sources you can look at. The Spartans would force them to wear costumes in mock parades, dress them like clowns, make them dance and humiliate themselves in public. If this sounds like the systemic psychological warfare used on slave plantations or genocidal regimes, it's because it is. And it's wild how we forget this part when we talk about Spartan honor. Let's talk about Spartan's version of night school, the Cryptia. Every year, the Ephors, a group of old men that decided the fate of everyone, declared war on the Helots. Not a metaphorical war, an actual declaration. So young Spartan men could go out and kill Helots without consequences. They called it a rite of passage. I call it child soldiers playing death squad. Teenagers were sent into the hills, daggers in hand, told to stalk the dark and murder the people who grew their wheat. One Helot was strangled in his sleep here. One was gutted in a vineyard. And this wasn't rogue behavior. This was the system. He was 14. Just old enough to kill. Not old enough to question why. They gave him a dagger, smeared his face with ash, and said, "Bring back silence." The first night, he found an old man gathering olives. His hand shook. His heart raced. He slit the man's throat and ran back through the trees. For the next week, he couldn't sleep. But after the third kill, he started to whistle. Don't let anyone tell you the Helots never fought back. They did. But the system was so tilted and so brutal that Mother Nature even lent a hand. In 464 BCE, a massive earthquake leveled Sparta. Thousands died, and the Helots rose up. It was one of the largest revolts in Greek history. The Helots fortified Mount Ithome and held out for 10 years. That's not a rebellion. That's trying to establish your own state, constantly being under siege. But Sparta, they couldn't defeat him alone. They had to beg Athens for help. And when the Athenians showed up, Sparta got scared that they were going to help the Helots instead. So they sent them home, ungrateful and paranoid, as usual. After Sparta's power declined, Rome, and later, European thinkers romanticized the hell out of them. Plutarch painted them as noble, wise, disciplined. The Helots? Never fucking mentioned. It's the ancient version of whitewashing a genocidal regime into a fitness poster. Modern fascists love the Spartan myth because it's hyper-masculine. They never mention the institutional rape, the mass murder, the child abuse, the slavery. They want the glory without the gore. Now I just gotta say something. You want to cosplay as a Spartan? Cool. Put on your bronze jockstrap. But if you ignore the Helots, you're not a warrior. You're just a clown. If your freedom depends on someone else being beneath you, that's not freedom. That's tyranny in a different font. He hadn't seen his mother in a year. She had kissed his forehead once, before they dragged him away. The kiss felt like a scar now. Soft, fading, illegal. At night, he rubbed his feet together to comfort himself. He knew if he cried, they'd beat him. If he bled, they'd mock him. If he didn't fight back, they'd kill him. His hands were too small to grip a spear, but they gave him one anyway. The older boys didn't teach him. They threw him into a gauntlet and told him to fight his way out. Every tooth he lost, they cheered. Every scream he held in was marked as growth. He was 8. By 10, he'd already taken a life. If you're still worshiping the Spartan lifestyle, I'm gonna need you to step outside, touch some grass, drink some water, and get therapy. Here's the setup. You're 7 years old. 1 minute, You're at home, maybe kicking rocks or catching lizards. The next minute, you're yanked into an underfunded UFC fight camp run by trauma. The Agoge was not a school. Imagine military boarding school with zero math, no recess, and daily sanctioned beatdowns. You learn to shut up or get slapped, steal food or starve, break your classmate's nose, and still eat dinner together. Your diploma? A scarred body and PTSD. The Agoge broke your soul before it built your body. Think of it like military Hogwarts, where kindness was forbidden. They didn't just teach you to fight. They taught you to forget you ever had a mother, feelings, or a thought that didn't serve the Spartan war machine. You were grouped into packs like attack dogs. If you got attached to someone, they'd make you fight them. Cry about it? That's another beating. It's like being stuck in a reboot of Fight Club, except you're a child. And the only rule is no feelings allowed. And let's not ignore the creepy part. Older men were assigned as mentors to younger boys. History books say mentorship, but let's be real. It was state-enabled grooming. Every bootlicker who idolizes this place somehow skips that chapter. Every lesson was the Hunger Games. Hungry? Steal. Get caught? You're gonna get wrecked. Not because stealing was wrong. Because you weren't clever enough. See what that teaches? They weren't building moral people. They were manufacturing cold, cunning survivors. You want ethics and morality? Move to fucking Athens. You want violence with a state logo? Welcome to Sparta High. The mascot is trauma, and the fight song is screams of pain. Public beatdowns were entertainment. 10-year-olds fighting it out until teeth hit the floor, while the Spartan moms cheered like it was the Super Bowl. She stood at the edge of the training grounds, face like stone. Her son limped past her, his mouth bleeding, one eye swollen shut. She didn't move, didn't speak, didn't touch him. That would make it worse. She learned that the hard way with her first son. He didn't survive a month. So she stayed silent, pushing down her grief like poison. That's what Sparta expected. A good mother didn't raise boys. She raised fucking lions. And when they died, she was supposed to be proud. If you survived the murder gymnasium known as the Agoge, you graduated to the next level, the Cryptia. You were given a dagger. Go murder the enslaved people in silence as a test of stealth. If you make it back, congrats. You're a full Spartan. If not, no refunds. This was state-induced psychopathy, sold as heroism. Imagine giving an 18-year-old a free kill pass. and then tell him he's saving the nation. Does that sound familiar? You think this ended in 404 BCE? Nah. This energy is alive and well. Every time a coach screams, "No pain, no gain," at a 12-year-old, Sparta lives. Every boot camp that mocks therapy and calls trauma a test, that's Sparta cosplay. Every influencer pushing grind culture, alpha mindset, and discipline over everything, without ever mentioning humanity, that's your Agoge. Let me be clear. Resilience is good, but forced suffering is not strength. He ran, barefoot. Blood streaked the rocks. He didn't care. He had seen too much. The boy they made him kill had his eyes. Same age. Same fear. You grew up in the same town. He ran until he hit Athens. They asked him his name. He told them a lie, because he didn't want to tell them he was a Spartan. He wanted to forget. Let's put a bow on this fucking myth. The Agoge didn't raise warriors. It raised weapons. It didn't teach honor. It taught how to endure hell without screaming. And now, centuries later, people idolize it like it's a fucking origin story. And too many people today still think beating boys into submission makes them men. Fuck no. It just leaves them damaged. You don't want to be Spartan. You want to be hard without the hard parts. You want the abs, the shield, the IG quotes, but not the trauma, the indoctrination, or the broken boys who were not allowed to cry. So to all you Spartan cosplayers out there, sit down. Sparta didn't raise heroes. It raised ghosts. And today, we're haunted by them. The Spartans weren't heroes. They were bootlickers with bloodlust. And the Helots, they were the crushed, the forgotten, the erased. But not today. Today, they speak. They march. They fucking riot. Until next time, raise your kids with love, not trauma. And if someone tells you Sparta was the model of strength, ask them what happened to the boys who broke. Take care. That's it for part 2.
Eyes watching me, I got them bitches mad, damn. 2:33 and I'm still going hard, damn. I'll buy a building just to burn it down, damn. Phone keeps on ringing but ain't calling back, damn. Eyes watching me, I got them bitches mad, damn. Yeah, badges but no copper, got them hidden, made a couple, stick or chopper, got a aim, smell a bluffer like a copper, check her go, let the anger flow.